Yesterday it was all green and gold at DET AT OAK. The boys returned home from a 9-game trip and did not disappoint a sold-out Coliseum. They pounced early and pounced often against their playoff nemesis, the Detroit Tigers. 5 home runs from 5 different athletics led the way. Tonight, it's a matchup on the mound as 2 of the best arms in the American League square off. Sonny Gray leads the league in ERA, and the 24-year-old looks to be the permanent ace in the A's rotation for years to come. He'll be opposed by Max Scherzer, the reigning Cy Young Award winner, and he is continuing where he left off in 2013. The hard-throwing strikeout machine is dominating once again. It's Game 2, A's Tigers, next. Beautiful Tuesday night at the DET AT OAK Coliseum, and we are set for Game 2 of this 4-game series, and we got a marquee pitching matchup. Max Scherzer for the Detroit Tigers and Sonny Gray for the Oakland A's. It is a top-notch performance, and we are looking forward to it. And you're going to see it all right here on Comcast Sportsnet, California. Game 2, Tigers and A's. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Oakland A's baseball, along with Shooty Babbitt. I'm Glenn Kuiper. Well, 2 teams. They got the 2 best records in the American League, and tonight, man, this is going to be fun because you got Sonny Gray and you got Max Scherzer. And let's start with Sonny Gray. He's really been terrific in every one of his starts, and there's no reason to think he won't be terrific again tonight.
Yeah, Glenn, you've got 2 guys who have tremendous electric stuff. When you look at Sonny Gray, his stuff is a little different than Max Scherzer because he has natural movement. You'll watch the catcher. He'll set up in the middle of the zone every time because he knows that Sonny Gray's ball is going to move out of the zone, and that's what makes him so good as a starting pitcher.
Well, it's hard to believe, but the Detroit Tigers have given up 34 runs in their last 3 games, so something's not right with that pitching staff. So it'll be up to Max Scherzer tonight, and boy, is he having another terrific season.
And I talk about life and movement. Sonny Gray gets his by natural movement. Max Scherzer has learned how to manipulate the baseball as he's matured as a pitcher. He was a guy who once threw up to 95 to 96 miles per hour, but he gets all of his swings and misses now from off-speed stuff. He'll throw his changeup and his slider to both right-handers and left-handers, so he has multiple ways to get out Oakland A's hitters. They are going to have a variety of pitches to look at tonight.
All right, so the A's will try to make it 2 in a row over the Tigers after winning yesterday by a final score of 10-0. Again, marquee pitching matchup. It's coming up. We'll have lineups and first pitch when we come back to the Coliseum. It's the Oakland A's and the Detroit Tigers.
California is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Head to Jack in the Box and try the new Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich. It's Jack's hottest sandwich yet. And by Toyota, #1 in MPG, durability, and resale value. Toyota, let's go places.
The A's take the field behind their ace, Sonny Gray. And we are looking forward to tonight's matchup, Sonny Gray and Max Scherzer. That is the headliner. And here is the game time weather presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is now open daily. Another beautiful night at the Coliseum. 71 degrees. The A's wearing the gold tops tonight. That is Sonny Gray's preference. And what he says goes on the night that he takes them out. And he will face the Detroit Tigers tonight in Game 2 of this 4-game series. And let's look at the lineup for the Tigers. It starts with that man, Ian Kinsler, and then Torrey Hunter, Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, very good top 4. J.D. Martinez will hit 5th, and then Don Kelly, Austin Jackson, Alex Avila, and Andrew Romine.
Looking out here at Sonny Gray, no, he has not been anointed the #1 starter on his staff. He has earned the right to be that. 5-1 with a 1.99 ERA. He will come at you with a plethora of pitches. The Detroit Tigers are in for a treat tonight because Sonny Gray is going to give them a smorgasbord of different things to come at them.
Defensively behind Sonny Gray, Cespedes, Crisp, and Reddick. And then on the infield, it's Donaldson, Lowry, Sogard, and Moss, with John Jaso doing the catching. So, we have heard plethora and smorgasbord in the same sentence, so that means we can get this baseball game underway, and we're about to do that as John Jaso throws the ball down. Ian Kinsler strides to the plate. Crowd still coming in. It'll be a nice crowd tonight. Sonny Gray will take the league's best ERA into tonight's start. Kazmir and Chavez on that list as well, and so is the Tiger starter tonight, Max Scherzer. So Gray is first in the league in ERA. Scherzer is 7th. So that is why we have made this one the marquee matchup. So Sonny Gray is ready, so is Kinsler, and this ball game is underway. And the first pitch is a fastball that's at the knees for a strike. So first pitch of the game, Kinsler is shaking his head. That's never a good sign if you're the hitter. Looking back at Angel Campos. What do you think, Sudi?
Well, you're looking at the first pitch. I mean, Sonny Gray. I mean, he didn't believe what he saw as well, Ian Kinsler. Talking about natural movement, Glenn. I mean, the first pitch fastball dropping off the table. That's not good for the Tigers for the rest of the evening.
Still a bit strange seeing Kinsler in a uniform that does not say Texas or the Rangers on the front, but he was part of the big Prince Fielder trade, and he is off to a very nice start, hitting .330, and that's 3rd best in the American League. Campos, Meals, Emil, Baker, with Meals being the crew chief. That's your umpiring crew for tonight. Fastball is high to Kinsler. So Sonny Gray looking for win #6 on the year. And that one's hit hard to Donaldson, who backhands it, pops off his glove, then recovers and throws, and they got him. So the ball was hit hard enough that Donaldson had time to scramble after it, and that is out #1.
Third base has always been labeled as the hot corner, and this is an illustration why. Before you can even get your glove down on the ground, the ball is on you. But Josh Donaldson, having that catcher mentality, threw his body in the way of the baseball, not allowing it to get by him, knowing that he still has plenty of time, and with his firm arm, he made that play a lot easier than what it really was.
Replay, you can see Moss did just keep his foot on the bag, and here's Torrey Hunter. First pitch fastball for strike to Torrey Hunter. 271 with 6 home runs, 27 RBIs. hitless in yesterday's game. That was the 10-0 win for the Athletics. Hunter jumps on the second pitch and rips one into the left field corner. And Torrey Hunter is going to have his 11th double of the year, and it comes with one out here in the first inning.
No matter how good a pitcher is, one thing that he can't afford to do is live up in the strike zone. Even though Sonny Gray has a significant amount of movement on his fastball, when it's up in the strike zone, it's right in the vision of the hitter's eyes, and normally they see that pitch pretty good.
So here's Cabrera. Cabrera had a hit in yesterday's game. So this is one of those situations where we all know what the deal is with Miguel Cabrera, hitting .415 with runners in scoring position. But you pitch around him, and the guy in the on-deck circle has the best batting average in the American League. That's Victor Martinez. Some people believe in protection in the lineup theory. Some people don't. Do you?
Absolutely. I've always felt that any team to be strong needed to have 3, 4, 5 hitters in their lineup, because a lot of times the number 3 hitter would get pitched around, and a lot of times that guy would be on base. So behind him you need somebody to clean up the scraps, and normally it's that number 4 hitter, and we know how good some of those number 5 hitters have been on this club.
1-1 pitch is a fastball low.
When yesterday, one luxury that Tommy Malone had was when Miguel Cabrera came up to the plate, it was either 2 outs and nobody on base, or he was either leading off the inning. Right away, Sonny Gray finds himself in a difficult situation facing one of the best hitters in baseball.
So 2-1 to Cabrera. And he hits that one right up the middle into center field, a base hit. Torrey Hunter hits the bag at third. He's being waved home. He will score without a throw. And 3 batters into the game, the Tigers take a 1-0 lead. So Cabrera, and really not trying to do too much, just take it right back up the middle.
Well, hitting coaches preach and teach all the time. Stay up the middle of the field. You watch Sonny Gray kind of pause. He couldn't believe that he made that pitch there. He was a little shocked by it, but he knew he had to back up home plate. But Miguel Cabrera has made a career of doing damage with runners in scoring position. Feasted on a fastball in the middle of the plate there.
So Cabrera gets his 43rd RBI. Came in tied for second in the league in that category. Nelson Cruz. So here's Victor Martinez. So Hunter with the double, Cabrera with the single, and it's 1-0 Tigers. Martinez takes low 2-0. Martinez not only the best batting average in the American League, he's second in the league in slugging and third in the league in on-base percentage.
He will be a free agent after this year.
I will find it very hard to believe. The Tigers will not get him back. You start looking at his where he could play, and obviously you're going to eliminate the entire National League. He's a designated hitter, and he's a $10 to $15 million a year guy. Do you agree with both those statements?
He is that, but he also is a 300 hitter from both sides of the plate, and he is a damage doer in the middle of the line.
No, I agree, but if you're a National League team, you're not going to go after him.
He is unattractive to a National League ball.
But he will get another nice contract, and we'll see if it is with the Tigers as he walks. So 2 on and 1 out, and it's J.D. Martinez who steps in.
As you watch Sonny Gray early on in this game, I thought one of the keys to his success tonight was to not have laborious innings. We know what a great competitor he is, and he finds ways to battle out of very tough situations. But with the Tiger Club being as dangerous as they are, you don't want to see him exert so much energy and effort early on in the game. You'd like to see him find his rhythm and find his feel around the strike zone.
So here's the right-handed hitting Martinez, J.D. Martinez. J.D. Martinez, we saw him last year with the Houston Astros. So a couple of hits and a walk after a leadoff ground out. And that one's lined to right center field, and that's a base hit. It's going to allow Cabrera to come in and score. The ball goes to the warning track, and hustling into second is Martinez with the double. Victor Martinez stops at third, and it's 2-0 Tigers. So J.D. Martinez with an RBI double.
If you look at Sonny Gray early on, he looks really deliberate with every pitch that he's delivering. And great hitters find a way to pick up the ball very early on. Sonny Gray is not producing a lot of deception right now. And the Tigers are squaring him up pretty good because it appears that they're picking up the baseball very clearly.
So 11th RBI of the year for J.D. Martinez, and Don Kelly steps in as Kurt Young trots back to the dugout after a quick meeting. So now it's damage control for Sonny Gray. Certainly a lot of game left. It's just 2-0, but you have to think about who the Tigers have on the hill tonight. And that's hit hard. Moss has it, and the runners will both hold. So big out there as Kelly goes after the first pitch. He hit it hard, but right at Moss.
You're not used to your starter getting banged around early on in the game. You look for him to set the precedence of the game. Sonny Gray has found himself in the middle of the zone against some aggressive hitters. If you look at the ball right here, hit to Moss, early on in the inning when you have nobody out, that ball has to be hit through the infield before the runner at third base is going to try to advance home. Now in similar situations, that same guy may be going on contact, so that may pose a difficult challenge for the A's in the same situation.
Jaso with the block. So 1-0 to Austin Jackson, hitting .258 with 3 homers and 16 RBIs. Tough day yesterday for Jackson. 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. Swing and a miss.
Manager Brad Ausmus tried to implement. If you look at this pitch here, Sonny Gray, when he has a fastball working, he's established it in the zone. That's normally a pitch that he will always get chases and swings and misses on. So it's so important for him to be able to get that fastball in the strike zone where he needs to early on.
1-1 pitch is tapped toward Donaldson, who grabs it, flips it across side, retired. So 2 runs on 3 hits, but it could have been worse. So the Tigers take a 2-0 lead after half an inning. To get back into it against Max Scherzer. And here's the ace lineup for tonight against the Tigers right-hander. Chris Jaso, Donaldson, Moss, Cespedes, Lowry, Reddick, Callaspo, Sogard.
Well, the A's patience is definitely going to be tested tonight. You're looking at the 2013 starting all-star pitcher for the American League in Max Scherzer, and he's every bit as good as advertised. He's going to come at the A's with 4 different pitches, but look for him to try to put the A's away with his newfound curveball and his plus changeup. Great matchup tonight. Sonny Gray, Max Scherzer.
And Scherzer coming off a tough outing. His last start was at Cleveland. He gave up 7 earned runs in 7 innings. He gave up 12 hits. Hard to believe that Max Scherzer could give up 12 hits in 1 start. So he will try to bounce back, and his Tiger teammates try to do the same. The Tigers have lost 7 out of their last 8. Scherzer with a 2-0 lead here in the first. Quick 2-0 count to Coco Crisp. That last start is really the only bad start that Scherzer has had this year. He's not going to have a lot of bad ones once in a while. 7th best ERA. He's 4th in the league in strikeouts.
Contrary to Drew Smyly last night, who had difficulty getting the fastball down, you'll see Scherzer, he likes to establish his fastball up in the zone to try to get chases from the Oakland A's hitters, so that will set up his breaking ball down in the strike zone.
That one down the left field line, a long run for Martinez. He's not going to get it. And Coco Crisp digging around second. He will put the brakes on and stop there with the leadoff double.
When this ball was hit, everybody in the ballpark knew that it was going to be a double because a great leadoff hitter and the great instincts that Coco Crisp had. He didn't just pull up at second base. He turned the Jets on halfway to second base just to make sure that he drew a throw from the left fielder, which he did throw the ball all the way through the third baseman. The cutoff man didn't even try to cut the ball off, but by Coco being so smart, just trying to make the Detroit Tigers possibly make another mistake.
Well, double number 8 for Coco Crisp, and here's Jaso. Coco goes, throw to third is in time, and they got it. So Coco on the first pitch tries to steal third, and Avila throws him out, and Avila's been very good at that this year.
Avila has thrown out 14 of the 18 base stealers that have been caught, and that is the best in the league. He gets rid of it so quickly. If you watch his feet working so well, you don't see that often, especially when Coco Crisp gets a running lead from second base. But what a great throw. Give Scherzer a little credit for delivering the ball very quickly. But bang, bang, I don't know. It's got to be inconclusive.
Yep. And this is where what the original call was really comes into play. This may be your best look. And now on that look, he looked out. But the replay before that, he looked like he may have been safe.
Yeah, very close. I don't know what Bob Melvin's decision is going to be here, but look like the guys in blue are going down to look underneath the hood and see what's going on here.
All right, take a look. Watch the left hand and watch the glove.
Are challenging the ruling on the field.
You know, Glenn, what also makes this play a lot closer than what it was, if you look where Don Kelly was positioned, taking away the inside part of the bag and making Coco Crisp slide to the outside part of the bag, which makes that distance a little farther away than what it typically could be. Just those few inches of the difference of him being safe and out right there.
But it is very close, and that's where the inconclusive sometimes comes into play.
Well, so many times people look at stopwatches to see how long it took the catcher to throw the ball to the base, or they look at the release time of the pitcher. So many variables take place in a play like that where things have to work all in sync in order for the play to be completed. in that situation there, the Detroit Tigers are getting the upper hand because they did everything right there, made Coco slide to the outside, and that was the difference in him being safer out.
So the challenge is used, first batter into the bottom of the first, and the call stands.
Ruling on the field.
Well, all that means is that we won't have any more challenges.
So, look at those now. That's unbelievable. And the A's do not get thrown out very often. That's just the 4th time that they've been thrown out all year, and it was a very close play. So, replay. And they stuck with the original call.
I thought it was a great play on Coco's part because as a base stealer, a former base stealer, the best time to steal third base is always on the first pitch because there's never a pickoff play on the first pitch or the first pitch back at second base.
So 0-2 to Jaso. So kind of a momentum shift very early in the game, certainly, but you go down 2-0 and your leadoff man doubles to lead off the inning. It's nice to answer back against a very good pitcher.
I would say that for most teams, but because we know how relentless the Oakland A's can be from the first pitch to the last, I think it's got to build confidence to know they've got Scherzer in the hole pretty early and had a chance to score off.
Somehow that did not hit John Jaso. Don't know how. I think it went right between his legs.
Equally as impressive is how they catch
Watch
that
this.
ball.
So when it's all said and done, the count is 2-2. Donaldson to follow. So that looks like that changeup, right? Shooting 85 miles an hour, and it has that fading action against a left-handed hitter. That one well out of the strike zone, but you kind of see the action of the baseball. Comes right back with the fastball at 94 miles an hour. Quick look at the Tigers defense. J.D. Martinez in left, Austin Jackson in center, Torrey Hunter in right. Don Kelly, Andrew Romine, Ian Kinsler, and Miguel Cabrera are your infielders, with Alex Avila doing the catching. So 3-2 the count to Jaso. Scherzer shakes off once and then delivers. And there's that changeup again, 85 miles an hour.
Glenn, you alluded to Max Scherzer's changeup and the way that it has that sink. He has this unorthodox delivery. He's 3/4. He hides the ball behind him very well. It's pretty tough for hitters to pick him up.
Not close. He misses with a fastball.
Time now for the Nissan keys to the game. Sonny Gray needs to have some stress-free innings. Hopefully he released it all in the first inning. I think number 2, I think the A's have to stay out of the chase zone with Max Scherzer, as you saw right there. Not getting too much in a hurry, not trying to be the hero, not trying to hit a 2-run homer when there's nobody on base. Let the other guys in the lineup contribute to their success as an offense.
So Donaldson steps in. Donaldson goes after the first pitch, skies it to shallow center. Austin Jackson is under it, and he's got it. So that looked like a pretty good pitch to hit.
Josh Donaldson is one of the A's hitters that have had some success against Scherzer, and I think what's so important is that you've got to go up there knowing that you've got to look in one area of the zone. You can't go up there trying to protect the inside and thinking about the outside. Great pitchers, when they have it working both ways, basically you have no chance. But I think the first time around you've got to be pretty observant to see how he's going to attack you and come back with an adjustment, another game plan the second and third time through the line.
So here's Moss, the cleanup hitter. First pitch, not close. So Scherzer, who at times can lose the strike zone a little bit. Looks like he's searching for it right now. He's thrown 8 balls and 8 strikes. Shift on for Moss as always. Fouls it straight back.
You know, look at Moss. I mean, a lot of times pitchers will make the mistake up and in on him, and a lot of times with that short, compact, left-handed, extensive swing that he has, this is the type of damage that he does. But you look at Austin Jackson run back, almost complete the play, but just before he got there, the wall kind of just knocked the ball right out of his glove.
1 of 5 the A's hit yesterday. That one's skied to right. Torrey Hunter drifting back, still going back, and he's got it. Side retired. So Moss did not miss that by a lot, and the A's do not score. 2-0 Tigers after 1. Remember game 2 of last year's division series. It was Sonny Gray. It was his first playoff appearance, and he got the baseball, and he was awesome. He got a no decision against the Tigers. He struck out 9. He threw 111 pitches, and the A's would win the game on the Stephen Vogt walk-off, with the final score being 1-0. How about that? Well, that was a fun night, and it was Sonny Gray against Justin Verlander. That was the starting pitching matchup. Again, that was game 2. Scherzer started game 1, Verlander game 2. And Sonny Gray, if you didn't know him before that, the National Baseball audience found out about him after that. Bunted. Good bunt, but barehanded by Sonny Gray, and that's a nice play. You see the athleticism of Sonny Gray on that play. Not only did he pounce off the mound, but then he barehanded it.
I don't think the Tigers got the memo about how good Sonny Gray is. I mean, he made that look basically routine. You just don't do that. This guy is one of the best fielding pitchers in college history, and that reputation has followed him right here to the major leagues.
So 1 out for Andrew Romine. That's the 2 starts. Started game 5, and that ended up being a 3-0 final. Of course, Verlander the story in that one. Sonny Gray not quite as sharp that night.
Well, that's up for argument. He made one bad pitch to one bad dude, and that was the difference of the game. One bad pitch, one bad dude, one great swing.
Breaking ball, 1-2 to Andrew Romine.
Glenn, I think it's going to be really important as Sonny Gray settles down quickly. Matt Scherzer, 10 starts, 18 runs. I mean, that's less than 2 runs per game given up.
That's the good breaking ball, and that's the first strikeout for Sonny Gray. So 2 outs here in the second inning.
When Sonny Gray is going good, he can throw that fastball in every area of the zone. He can throw it from the chin to the chest. He can throw it from the waist to the knees. Romine had no chance here.
So 2 outs and the top of the order, and Ian Kinsler, who bounced out to third in the first inning. Kinsler takes a fastball on the inside corner, first strike. Tigers wanted to get more athletic and got Kinsler to play second, traded Prince Fielder. And it certainly looks like it was the right deal to make. And that's, again, nothing against Prince Fielder.
Ian Kinsler is one of the most underrated leadoff hitters in the game. He's one of those triple threat type of guys. I mean, he can hit for power, he hits for average, he steals bases. On top of that, he scores a lot of runs.
And he's also signed through 2017, so he has a long-term contract. So the Tigers know that they're going to have him in their lineup for a long time.
Back-to-back 30-30 home run years.
1-2 pitch, he lays off that one. So 30 pitches in the game for Sonny Gray, most of them in that first inning. Setting up inside, and the fastball comes inside and gets in there enough. Force Kinsler to pop it up. Sogard has it, and Sonny Gray has a 3-up, 3-down, top of the second inning. Bottom of the second coming up, 2-0 Detroit. Jump Street. It's in theaters starting June 13th. Beautiful night in the Bay Area. You look at the new Bay Bridge. It's a prettier drive, I think, now, don't you, Shooty?
And it'll be not a lot nicer once they remove that old one so you can see everything.
Getting there, I agree. takes a little while. Back in our construction days, we explain how they're doing it. But
yeah, especially you being the engineer that you are.
Cespedes with a good swing, 1-1 the count.
You can believe one thing, that they could care less who's out there on the hill. The big bad wolf, they don't care who come in here talking about what they're going to blow down. This young A's ball club, they've made a career out of non-believers and doing the things they've done here at the major league level.
1-1 pitch, jammed. Shortstop, Romine, bare hands, throws, not in time. Kind of a funky ball. It was a jam shot. Romine really did everything he could do. Cespedes runs well, and he's got a hit.
Romine did a tremendous job. Max Scherzer runs a fastball in on Cespedes' hands a little bit that he's able to pull him in and get out the box so quickly. Romine did everything that any gold glove shortstop can do to make that body control play on the run and clean it, field it cleanly as he did. But no. Yoenis Cespedes, one of the fastest right-handed hitters in the game right now. Able to accelerate in 2 seconds like a Porsche out there.
So leadoff man aboard. And here's Lowry, who drills one. Left center field, that's a base hit. And it goes past Jackson. In comes Cespedes rounding third. He's going to score, and the A's are on the board. So Lowry goes to the gap. We'll see what the ruling is. No question it's a double. But the ball did go past Jackson.
Yeah, that ball was hit pretty hard in the gap there. Had a little top spin on it, but Jackson ran a terrible route. You always talk about angles. You always have to take a great angle to that ball. You have to cut it off there, possibly hold that runner to third base. But once it got beyond Jackson, there's no question that Cespedes was going to score.
Yeah, it really just got past him. There was no juggle or missed attempt, but he certainly should have cut it off.
Cespedes didn't have a great secondary lead, but he read the ball so well. He didn't need the base coach to let him know, because right away, once he saw Jackson take that bad route, he knew he was going to score easy.
So 2-1 game with Lowry at second and nobody out. 0-1 to Reddick. Reddick to bunt, bunts up the first baseline, but it's foul. So now it's 0-2.
Knowing Reddick is a guy who's hit 30 home runs in the major leagues, understands right now that they're in a situation where they have a chance to add on and possibly tie this game up. His job is to make sure that whatever, any way that he can, he has to get that runner over from second base with nobody out. I mean, these are the type of things that bring together a championship quality team, doing the small things to find ways to find ways to win games.
Reddick skies one. Kinsler out, Hunter in, and it's going to be Kinsler who grabs it. And that's out number 1. So Lowry remains at second base. And that'll bring up Cayaspo.
Designated hitter, number 18, Alberto Cayaspo.
Cayaspo, the designated hitter, played second base yesterday. 1 for 4, scored a run. A single and a double for the A's, and they have been on the board against Scherzer. Sogard will be next. Game number 52 for the A's. They're 31-20 with a 2.5 game lead over the Angels. 5 over the Rangers, 5.5 over the Mariners, 11.5 over the Astros.
You look at this A's lineup, players like Lowry, Cayaspo, Sogard. I feel that they have a better chance to have some success against Scherzer because he's a pitcher that throws a lot of balls out of the zone. These guys are little guys that spray the ball around the field and use their hands a little bit.
Roll to Ty Waller, who scoops it up.
You can't be overly aggressive. Scherzer came in the league as a power pitcher, throwing the ball by hitters with ease. But as his career has gone on and he's found an understanding of pitching, less is more, and more is not less.
So 1-2. That was fair down the left field line. This game's going to be tied as Lowry trots home and Callaspo comes through big time.
Watching Callaspo, one of the best hitters in the American League when it comes to manipulating the bat end. Stand short to the ball, not trying to do too much, taking what the pitcher gives you. Scherzer showing you right away that he's going to try to pitch away to the left-handers and jam the right-handed hitters. Callaspo comes in with a great attitude and a great at-bat. And boy, oh boy, no one's any happier than Reddick over in the dugout. Callaspo picking up his teammate.
So here's Sogard. So Scherzer has given up 4 hits to the A's, 3 of them doubles, and he's walked 1. And the A's have tied it. Callaspo gets his 17th RBI of the year. And he's clearly not sharp tonight. Should he? Not a lot of quality strikes thrown by Scherzer. And he has not struck anybody out. I know it's only the 2nd inning, but this is a premier strikeout pitcher. And he's now faced 8 hitters, Sogard the 9th hitter, without a strikeout. That one's hit to right field. Torrey Hunter going back toward the line, and he's got it. Hustles it back in. Callaspo to third.
Glenn, you know, there was a high billing about the matchup between these 2 premier starters in the American League, but they are human beings. These guys' hearts are beating so rapid out there, it's about to jump out their chest because they know how much they mean to their ball club. What we witnessed in the 1st inning with Sonny Gray is so uncharacteristic of him giving up early runs. We look at Scherzer struggling the way that he is right now. It's just a competition between the lines and 2 pretty good teams right now. And I think it's going to be the team that can take advantage of the other team's mistakes tonight is the one that's going to have the best chance to win this game.
So here's Coco. He doubled down the left field line in the 1st. Slider that time. Pitches already in the game for Max Scherzer. That's a good changeup right there. It's the pitch that he's been throwing. It's been leaking off the plate, but watch this one. See, that one looks like a strike all the way to the end. It's not that far away from being a strike, even if Coco did not swing at it.
And what Scherzer has become very good at doing is doubling up and tripling up with that pitch. He will back it up with one and come right back with another.
That one was lined foul. So a little more on the Scherzer changeup, which he throws at an average velocity of the changeup is 83.3 miles per hour. The batting average against slugging, so they're just not doing a lot against that changeup. Strike percentage, now that's whether you're swinging or it's called a strike, 64%. So over 6 out of 10 changeups that he throws, he gets a strike on it somehow. Well, that's pretty good.
It's a very deceptive pitch. You normally have 2 different types of change, of a straight change, and you got a change where a guy chokes and he turns it over. Scherzer gets a tremendous amount of sink and ground balls with his changeup.
And there it is. When you see 83, 84 miles an hour, that's the changeup.
Yes, it is.
When you see 78, 79, 80, that's the slider, correct?
That is correct. And he will come with his curveball, which is normally about 73 to 76 miles per hour. And that has been his bread and butter pitch here lately as his career has gotten even better.
2-2 to Crisp. Foul territory. Don Kelly, the third baseman, chasing it. Drop into foul territory.
When you look at a pitcher like Scherzer, you look at a Sonny Gray who have good changeups. What makes their changeups so good is the arm speed and the way in which they deliver the ball. As a hitter, you're always trying to pick up the ball in a certain area coming out of the hand. And a lot of times pitchers will tip their hand by what they're throwing by slowing up their arm. Scherzer does a great job of accelerating his, which creates even more deception.
So another 2-2 pitch. Here it is. And it's popped up behind second base where Kinsler is back on the grass. He's got it side retired. But the A's scored twice. We get an RBI double from Lowry and an RBI double from Callasco. And we are tied 2-2. All-Star Teacher Program recognizes Bay Area teachers that make a difference. We got one at the ball game tonight. Alyssa Nielsen from Half Moon Bay High School. She's a finalist for this year's All-Star Teacher, and there she is, Miss Alyssa Nielsen. Winning teacher receives $20,000 for his or her school. So good luck to Alyssa Nielsen, and she's doing a great job at Half Moon Bay High School. All right, she's enjoying the game, as are we. 2-2 third inning. So two terrific pitchers. Max Scherzer not real sharp in the early going, and Sonny Gray gave up a couple of runs on 3 hits in the first. Settled down in the second. Now he's got an opportunity for a shutdown inning. Tap slowly to Lowry. Lowry flips to first, and Torrey Hunter is retired. So 1 out here in the third inning. And now you get to the heart of the order, and Miguel Cabrera and then Victor Martinez.
Now batting, number 24, Miguel Cabrera.
Tigers are 28-19 on the year, and they have a 5-game lead over the White Sox in that Central. But not playing good baseball. They've lost 3 in a row. They've lost 7 out of 8. And shooting, this is an unbelievable note, and it's hard to imagine. In the last 3 games, not including tonight, the last 3 games, the Tigers have been outscored 34-6. And this is the team that has the second best record in the American League, and they're a very, very good team, but it's hard to imagine that they could be outscored 34-6.
I just think it's the law averages when you start looking at the game. When you look at the season, 162 games, it's so difficult to sustain greatness throughout. I mean, there are going to be some ups and downs, and I just think that your character building comes from how you handle the times when you're not doing good, and that tells you how good your team really is.
No question about that. One and 2 to Miguel Cabrera, who had an RBI single in his first at bat, and he hits one high and deep to left field. Cespedes is back, and that baby's gone. So Cabrera homers, and the Tigers grab the lead right back, 3-2. And that's exactly what Cabrera did in Game 5 last year.
There is a cliche that says the best athletes in the world make the games look so easy. Miguel Cabrera, a big mammoth of a man that he is, takes a nice, easy, controlled leverage swing with a tremendous amount of extension and just lifts Sonny Gray out of the yard like he does it every single day.
So home run number 8 for Cabrera. He now has 44 RBIs. And here's Victor Martinez. Nice shooting in the first inning. Cabrera with the runner at second base. 1 out. RBI spot. Pitch right out over the plate. Hits it right back up the middle. This at bat, nobody on base. Fastball. Maybe opens up a little bit and hits one out of the ballpark.
Well, what makes Miguel Cabrera so good is that he doesn't have many holes. Even though he may look a little silly chasing a breaking ball out of the zone, a lot of times a pitcher will try to double up with the same pitch and make a mistake, and that's when he will make you pay.
Miguel Cabrera on top of this list, RBI leaders since 2004. And 2004 was Cabrera's second season. Remember 2003, he was with the Marlins. They won the World Series, and he was a rookie.
I threw around the word IQ yesterday as far as baseball IQ. Miguel Cabrera is considered to have the best among many, many players.
Lowry has it as Martinez hits it right into the shift. So this was the home run in Game 5, and it doesn't look a whole lot different.
We talked about Sonny Gray only made one mistake, and that was it. And that was a pretty good fastball up in the strike zone. And I talked about how impressive Josh Donaldson was yesterday, getting on top of a fastball and shooting it down the left field line and out of the ballpark. That was equally impressive for a big guy like that to get on top of Sonny Gray's fastball, which was 94-95 last year, easily.
There's J.D. Martinez, who had an RBI double to right center in that first inning. Curveball and a check swing by Martinez.
Glenn, you know, I think as Sonny Gray's maturity level rises as a pitcher, he'll understand sometimes that you do have to give in a little bit.
Well, if you're going to throw Miguel Cabrera a fastball, you better get it in a little bit. Off the plate.
Way in.
But you know what? Sometimes you got to give Cabrera the credit.
93, 94 mile an hour fastball, maybe in the inner half a little bit. I mean, really, how many guys? How many power hitters are going to hit that out? A lot of power hitters like the ball out over the plate a little bit.
And I talked about it yesterday about how right-handed hitters like to get their arms extended. Miguel Cabrera stayed inside of that baseball and shot him way up out of here.
Breaking ball, and J.D. Martinez swings and misses. Jaso flips it to first side, retired. Miguel Cabrera with his 8th home run of the year. Solo shot, so bottom of the 3rd coming up. The Tigers have the lead back. It's now 3-2.
Catfish bobblehead. Join us on Saturday, May 31st when we pay tribute to 1974 Cy Young Award winner and one of the A's all-time greats, Jim Catfish Hunter, at the 7:05 game against the Angels. 15,000 fans will receive a Catfish Hunter bobblehead presented by State Farm. In addition, fans can purchase tickets for a special Hall of Fame autograph session with Raleigh Fingers and Reggie Jackson prior to Saturday's game. For information and tickets, visit athletics.com/1974 or call 877-493-BALM.
Jaso hits a sky-high pop-up foul territory, and J.D. Martinez ran what he's going to feel like about 200 yards. And, of course, came up just short.
A lot of territory, third base and first base lines here, Glenn. There are a lot of foul balls that are caught here as well.
So that's a long run to come up empty. So 1-1 to Jaso, who walked in the first inning.
You know, the most difficult part of that play, Glenn, you're running on a full sprint on grass, and all of a sudden you feel that dirt out there, and especially when a third baseman is running across the mound down there. It's a hard and a tough feeling not knowing where you are at that time, and you've seen some great plays and you've seen some bad plays.
Guys get hurt, too. Jaso bends back out of the way. Pitch number 41 coming up. And there's that slider, and he missed down and in. Pretty good take by Jaso.
Must be something in that Tiger scouting report about Jaso not liking the ball in.
Changeup, and that one in for a strike. What you don't want to see happen here, Shooty, if you're the A's, is for Scherzer to settle in.
seen a lot with great pitchers. They may struggle a little bit early, and then they find a little groove.
You're exactly right, finding their rhythm, and that's one thing that I thought that we would see with Sonny Gray, because all that energy that he takes out on the mound, and I think that's one of the difficult things for a young player to do, is to harness his emotions. Scherzer is a veteran now. He's experienced at that, and he'll find his way around his A's batting order.
Bounce foul. Scherzer in his 6th full year, he's got a career record of 79 and 46. So a terrific career record. Of course, part of that, a record of 21 and 3 last year. So that's going to help your career record. Another foul ball and another long run. Scherzer was originally an Arizona Diamondback. He was the 11th player taken in the 2006 draft by Arizona. Some of the other names on that list: Hochevar, Longoria was 3rd, Kershaw 7, Lincecum 10. It's always fun to look at those drafts now, Shooty, and say, well, that's what, 8 years ago? Who would be the first pick? Clayton Kershaw. I mean, of that, the people on that notable list.
Might be fun for you to look at, but not for some executives and scouts, that's for
Not
sure.
for the Royals. Nothing against Luke Hochevar,
who's a very good pitcher.
but you know, I think you could say clearly Kershaw,
hands down.
Longoria, Scherzer's been great. Lincecum, maybe not quite the same guy, but still a good pitcher with a pretty good resume. And you know what? There's just, you know, the Royals just said, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that.
Well, that's the beauty of the draft. And right now, I just want to tell all the other 30 organizations out there that are getting ready for the draft, good luck, because you find yourself in this position on June 8th, making a very tough decision.
And that one is a foul ball, maybe? And it is. And Scherzer flips it to first. And that's out number 1. Unbelievable. Angel Campos popped out, and Jaso said it hit me in the arm. Campos saying no, it hit the bat, and it rolled out toward the mound. Now the bump on the arm had to come from something, and it looks like now they've got the call right. Watch the left forearm of Jaso, and it hits him right there. Oh man!
You have much better eyes than I do, Glenn, because I couldn't tell right there. Oh,
you see the lump there, this arm. Wow. Oh my goodness.
I guess it's crystal clear.
Look at that for a long time.
It's crystal clear. Good thing he has Popeye arms down there.
Let's hope he's okay.
He doesn't even want, you know, I think back in the day, I'd look for Walt Horn to come running out the dugout right now with that little silver can of that freeze spray, and he'd spray it on your arm for about 5 minutes, and you still have that big knot up there, and he's trying to convince you to feel better.
Stuff that froze your arm. So Jaso, wow, does get first base. All right, I think I need like a cold glass of water or something.
I don't think he's going to remain in this game. I find it very tough to believe. That thing is swelling up very quickly.
Let's hope he's all right. He does get first base, deservedly so. So here's Donaldson. Donaldson swings and misses.
You get hit that hard, you should get 2 bases. Wow. Just how quickly it swelled up.
Must be a tough guy, because he's laughing it off. It's making me a little queasy. Inside, and it counts 1. Now, I mean, you want to talk about just a tough crowd.
I don't know. Jaso's like me a lot of times in life. I had to laugh just to keep from crying.
There's a good changeup from Scherzer.
Talked about Scherzer throwing his changeup to either lefties or righties. It's not fashionable to throw that pitch when it's righty on righty because a lot of times you speed the bat up and you normally give up some gappers or home runs here. But Scherzer has so much confidence in his changeup because of the sinkage on it. It's not so much a pitch that floats in the zone. It's a pitch that normally sinks when they get up to the home plate.
Fastball runs inside. So of all the strikeouts Scherzer gets, and he certainly gets a bunch, let's you and I guess here a little bit. What pitch do you think he gets the most with? Not the fastball.
At this point in his career, definitely the curveball. Because
you think this curve slider more than the changeup?
Absolutely.
Two and two. And here's the pitch and a fastball that was close but outside. So now a full count. So he went with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, tried to paint that outside.
The reason why I say that, Glenn, is because a lot of times with a changeup, a pitcher is seeking soft contact. He's looking for an easy out. But when you have a power breaking ball, you're looking for a swing and miss. You're looking for a knee-jerk reaction from the hitter, not being able to pull the trigger.
Jaso not running, 3-2 pitch outside. He walked it. He went with a fastball again and missed on a close pitch.
I think that pitch call right there was a lot of respect for Josh Donaldson in the year that he's having. I mean, that was a very well executed pitch. I think that's one of the most unused pitches in baseball, that swing back fastball, because what it does is it freezes that hitter, which appears outside, but that last 2 feet, that ball runs about 4 or 5 inches back to the plate, and pitchers get a lot of called strike threes on pitches like that.
So here's Moss. First pitch to Moss is in for a strike with the changeup. Moss, terrific this year with runners in scoring position, 357. 9th best in the American League in that category, and he's got Jaso at second, Donaldson at first, and nobody out. So the A's trying to answer right back after the Cabrera home run. Swing and a miss.
2 filthy changeups back-to-back to Moss. The first one was a get-over changeup. This one right here, I mean, the bottom just fell out of that pitch there.
So maybe Shooty, he's starting to get a little better feel for that changeup. Early on, he did not have very good control of it. Boy, he's throwing 57 pitches, and there's nobody out in the 3rd inning. And 3 straight changeups, and he gets the strikeout.
Back to back to back. We watched Tommy Malone last night have so much success with his changeup and the mastery in which that pitch is given to a hitter. I mean, it's something that guy with that wand used to say, abracadabra, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to make your eyes see something that they really don't see. Brandon Moss just couldn't believe that that pitch wasn't getting to the plate at the time that he thought it was.
So big out there. That's the first strikeout for Scherzer tonight. Here's Cespedes. Infield single and a run scored in the 2nd inning. Another changeup, so that's 4 straight changeups. He may keep throwing it, Shooty, if he's got that good of a feel for it now. So now it's 0-2. Game 1 of last year's division series.
Boy, Yoenis Cespedes was at his best there. Scherzer tries to get a get-over fastball in, and he doesn't get it in far enough. And man, oh man, that ball was crushed.
So 0-2. fouled again.
When you look at that changeup and what separates it so much from other changeups that you see, I mean, that's almost like a sinking fastball that he takes off about 7 or 8 miles per hour of, and just the illusion that that ball is in the zone, but it loses its velocity so quickly once it gets to the plate. It's very difficult for a hitter to hold back and not pull the trigger on that pitch.
So there you go, lots of changeups. 22% of the pitches he throws are changeups. See if we see one here. 0-2. With a fastball at 95 miles an hour.
That's what you call pitching backwards right here. Most hitters in that count 0-2, they're looking for a pitcher to throw a waste pitch up there somewhere high in the zone, something in the dirt, try to get a chase, or just basically give you something for results on the next pitch.
Lowry waiting in the on-deck circle. Two pitches grounded just foul. Scherzer is working hard tonight, and he's not going to be around for the full 9 innings.
Look, Cespedes staying alive here. We talked about the home run that he hit last night and utilizing his legs. When you become a two-strike hitter, understanding that you have to wait back and let that ball get there a little bit, it is so important that you have a strong base and not jump out there on that front foot. Allow your hands to stay back so you still have something to fight with.
So another 0-2 pitch from Scherzer to Cespedes. And he got it. So back-to-back strikeouts of Moss and Cespedes, and that's 2 outs.
When you look at Scherzer, when you look at starting pitchers in baseball, period, most of the time what determines them to be able to be a starting pitcher is that they have to have 2 quality pitches. Fastball and an out pitch, maybe a curveball or changeup, but you definitely have to have something else to go to. What Max Scherzer is displaying out there tonight is that he has 2 out pitches, so it makes it very difficult for a hitter to eliminate one because he has something else to get you out with.
I'm not sure his fastball is one of those out pitches right now. Do you agree with that?
And it can be.
He's using that slider and the changeup a lot. Fastball there is a bit inside. It's almost like he's setting things up with his fastball and then going with the other stuff.
A power pitcher who has learned to pitch. And if you're going to sustain longevity in this league, you just can't continue to throw the ball by some of the best hitters in the world every given night. You're going to have to find a way to make them get themselves out. And that's what Scherzer is showing that he's able to do now. Give you a variety of different pitches to think about in your mind. Therefore, he has a different way to attack you every time that he comes into play.
But the A's are making him work. There's no doubt about that. 65 pitches now, and we're in the 3rd inning. Lowry, check swing, slowly hit toward 3rd, and making the decision to go to 1st is Don Kelly. He thought about 2nd, but he got the out at 1st. So the A's, good opportunity, but do not score, and it's 3-2 Tigers after 3. Tommy Milone, 6 2/3 innings of shutout baseball, struck out 6, 105 pitches. He got the win. So Tommy Milone now 3-3, a good ERA, 3.5. And he's been pitching great for the A's. And that's our fourth right choice. So he's going to sit back, he's going to relax, and he's going to get himself ready for the Angels. So if he pitched on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, he'll pitch Saturday against the Angels right here at the Coliseum.
And he was simply marvelous yesterday. He talked about his nickname probably being Cool Breeze Malone. I've never seen this guy in a hurry. I've never seen a sense of anxiousness with this dude. I mean, just a real cool customer. And yesterday, I mean, he was just tremendous.
So we'll see if Sonny Gray can have a quick inning as he faces Kelly, Jackson, and Avila. The first pitch is just a bit low. Angels are leading the Mariners 4-1. That game in the 4th inning. Seattle, that's game 2 of a 4-game series. Mariners won last night 5-1. Chris Young got his 4th win. He's pitched pretty well for Seattle. Chris Young. It's Weaver and Elias, the pitching matchup. These Tigers will head to Seattle this weekend for a 3-game series against the Mariners. So we'll keep a close eye on that game. The Angels just 2.5 games behind the Athletics. Angels playing good baseball. Three and 1 to Don Kelly. Kelly hits it foul. The A's 31-20. The Rangers tonight gave up 2 in the bottom of the 9th in Minnesota and lost 4-3. Soria could not save it, so the Rangers lose a tough one and they go back to the 500. Coco trots in a couple steps. He's got it. Kelly is retired. So more frustration for Ron Washington and the Rangers. And on top of all that, Yu Darvish was supposed to start that game for Texas, but should he? That neck has been bothering him a lot, bothering him again, and he was scratched. So Scott Baker ended up starting, but no Yu Darvish. And again, they're not sure when he'll be back. I mean, I don't know if it's serious or not, but get scratched, you never know. And it's kind of something that's been bothering him quite a bit, it seems like, that neck area.
Well, if you're the Rangers, you've got to be a little shell-shocked right now, knowing that one of your best hitters, Prince Fielder, has been lost for the season because of a neck issue and surgery that he had yesterday.
Yeah, the Rangers have been playing better as of late, but they let one get away tonight. They continue to try to battle through a rash of injuries. 2-0 pitch is hit hard. Lowry reaches, can't quite get it, and Austin Jackson has a 1-out single. So Jackson's aboard. That's his first hit in the series.
Watching Sonny Gray, I think what's so important is you're going to have to minimize damage. I don't think either starting pitcher is going to be around for a decision here because of the way both the offenses are put together. Right now, the pitch count has gotten up a little bit for Sonny Gray as well for Max Scherzer. He's going to have to make a good pitch here. I mean, you're right in the heart of this Tiger lineup that are very dangerous. Sonny Gray, once again, makes a pitch that's kind of easy for a right-hand hitter to handle, and Jackson was able to shoot him through the hole.
So here's Alex Avila. Keep an eye on Jackson, a good base stealer. He's 6 for 7 this year in that category. Tigers as a team, second most steals in the American League.
Brad Austin just came in and right away implemented a real aggressive approach to playing. They've been running a lot and getting thrown out a lot.
Yep. That one's hit well. Left center, Coco on the move near the wall, and it is off the top of the wall. It stayed in the ballpark, but Austin Jackson digging around third, and he's going to come in to score, and it's 4-2. Interesting. That ball clearly hit the top of the wall. Now the question is there something behind it close to the wall that maybe it hit and helped it bounce back onto the field? I do not know. We will find out as we'll take a good look at it on the replay, but this may be something the Tigers want to look at.
Just a couple of years back, Bill was one of the best hitters on this Detroit Tigers team. Had a couple of injuries that set him back a little bit, but he's always been a guy who's had power to all parts of the field.
See, what happens after it hits the top of the wall? Does it go over the wall and then hit off? There's that railing right there, the steps leading up to the camera area. This will be that is a very close play, and it does not look like it's going to be looked at.
Game of inches.
So it goes as an RBI double. First pitch to Andrew Romine is low. So Avila gets his 13th RBI. Single and a double with one out. Did he go? Yes, he did, says Jordan Baker. So the count 1-1. Romine struck out swinging in the second.
Glenn, you don't want to be redundant, but one thing is so important for a pitcher is that he's got to establish his fastball to set up his secondary stuff. And I think that's the one struggle that Sonny Gray has had tonight, not being able to throw his fastball where he wants to.
Don't mind thinking about bunting, but he bunts it foul. Now 4 runs allowed tonight. That's the most that Sonny Gray has allowed in any one start this year. That's how good he has been. He's allowed 3 earned runs in a start 3 times. Pitch, another breaking ball, and they're trying to get Romine to chase. He looks like he wants to, but he was able to hold up there.
When you touched on Scherzer's last outing, giving up 7 runs, Sonny Gray giving up 4, the most he's given up in his last 11 starts. There's a timing period during the season. Sometimes guys come up with tired arms, dead arms. These are guys that have been shouldering a tremendous load for their clubs. Sometimes they just don't have their best stuff. But what the great ones do, they find a way to work through it.
Bounce slowly. Lowry has it. He's going to have to hurry. He throws, and they just got Romine for out number 2.
I've talked to you about I'm going to be an advocate to get rid of the radar gun reading and the pitch counts up on the boards, because not only do the fans see it, the pitchers see it. And the one thing that you don't need is a radar gun or pitch count to let you know if you're tired or not. But the one thing that you want to find out about a player and what type of fortitude that they have is how they're able to compete when they don't have their best stuff. And I think that is the trademark of a tremendous athlete, the ones that can dig down and find the ways to get it done.
See, I'm going to disagree with you there.
I love that.
I think the fans in the ballpark deserve to. Baseball is a numbers game. I don't always believe in pitch counts either, but it's become a huge part of the game, and I think fans want to see how many pitches the guy has thrown, and I think they want to see the miles per hour, and I think that the fans deserve to see that. So that's kind of the angle I'm taking on the pitch count numbers and velocity in ballparks.
Is that as a fan?
Yes.
Well, I think those Louisvilles will let you know how hard a guy is throwing out there.
Now, as an announcer, I understand what you're saying. Center field shallow. Coco went back. Now he's got to hustle in, and he will get there in time to make the catch. Side retired. A run on 2 hits. So the Tigers, as we go to the bottom of 4th, now leading 4-2. Bottom of the fourth inning, Sports Clips and the A's have partnered to celebrate America's Armed Forces. To support the cause, Sports Clips is accepting donations in exchange for haircuts at select A's games. All proceeds will benefit Freedom Alliance and USO, and they have been here since yesterday. They're working hard tonight, and they're going to return July 3rd through the 5th. So it's basically you make a donation, you get a haircut. You're having a good time, and it's for a good cause. Remember, they'll be back July 3rd through the 5th. Bottom of the fourth here at the Coliseum with the A's trailing now 4-2. Reddick, Callaspo, and Sogard. Reddick popped out to the second baseman in the second inning. It's a shot to center and a base hit. So for the fourth consecutive inning against Max Scherzer, the A's had their leadoff man aboard. So hit number 5 for the Athletics.
One thing Reddick wasn't able to do his last at bat was to get on top of a pitch. He teased Scherzer with the threat of maybe sacrifice bunting and then looking for something that he could ambush him with, but he wasn't able to get on top of the pitch, and he ended up popping him up. Great at bat for Reddick right there.
So see if Callaspo can keep the line moving here. He had an RBI double in the second inning, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Callaspo hitting in the A spot. Sogard to follow, and then after Sogard, back to the top of the order, Coco Crisp.
The A's have to be careful here if they are thinking about getting runners moving. Brad Ausmus has that National League background. He doesn't mind calling games. He doesn't mind calling pitch outs. So be interested to see how the A's go about executing something here.
And there's a shot to left center field, and that's a base hit. Reddick digging for third. He will make it. Callaspo will stop at first. And the A's are in business again. First and third, nobody out. So it's just one of those nights. It's not going to be easy for either Scherzer or Sonny Gray.
Baseball expert would say, what a nice piece of hitting here. Not trying to do too much. Just utilizing the fat part of the bat. Letting the ball get there. Not trying to do something with it before it's done. Josh Reddick in a good secondary lead. He's going all the way. He understands the arm strip and some of these Tiger outfielders out there, and that's a ball there you have to be thinking first and third every time.
So here is Sogard, who hit a fly ball to right field in the second inning. First pitch is a bit high and inside. Kelly, the third baseman, in even with the bag. Middle infielders at double play depth. Outfield straight away and shallow for Sogard. So 6 hits now for the A's, and Scherzer has also walked 2, and he has hit a batter. So 1-1 to Sogard.
Once again, Scherzer goes to that changeup that he's showing great feel for tonight. You get in a 1-0 count as a hitter, you're basically looking for a fastball, something that you can drive, get up in the air. Scherzer pitches him backwards, gets him to chase a pretty good pitch in the dirt. That's a ball.
It is a ball. So the A's will get a run on a balk by Scherzer. Reddick trots in. Callaspo goes to second, and a huge mistake by Max Scherzer. I think everybody in a Tigers uniform and in their dugout is saying, what the heck did he just do that for?
Well, what happens, Glenn, with all this new positioning of players, the shifts, guys playing far off the lines here, Scherzer just didn't anticipate Kelly being that far off the third base there. But anytime that you throw to an unoccupied base when you're in the stretch, that is considered a balk.
And in this case, your third baseman, Don Kelly, he's off the bag probably 8-10 feet. So that makes it an unoccupied bag.
This is true. You know, I'm surprised that we haven't seen a lot more of strange things happening on the bases in these situations, especially with the pronounced shifts that we have. You know, hitters are going to have to find ways to combat what's happening, because you can see the frustration of them hitting in these shifts so often that they're going to have to find a way to have some success here.
So now the tying run is at second base. Nobody out. Corner infielders in, and Sogard drives into right center field. But it's going to hang up for Torrey Hunter, who's got it. Tagging up is Callaspo. He's going to try for third, and he will make it. So Sogard with a productive out, and now the A's have a chance to tie it. Runner at third, 1 out.
Very impressive there for Sogard, because Max Scherzer is not a guy who's easy to elevate, especially having the changeup that he has working tonight. But Sogard, you know, hitting 183 coming in tonight. I mean, he's probably one of the most dangerous 183 hitters in the league, because you expect him to get the job done in situations like that. And that's what Sogard get paid to do.
Infield comes in for Coco Crisp. Crisp a double and a pop out. Fastball outside. Jaso is the on-deck hitter, and he's got his arm all wrapped up from where he was hit by a pitch, but he seems to be okay. Missed again, 2-0.
Glenn, when I'm looking at Kayaspo take his lead at third base, one thing that I would like to see him do is get as much as the third baseman gets down there, because Scherzer throwing the changeup as much as he is tonight, there's a pretty good chance that he may bounce one in the dirt. Kayaspo has to get a very good secondary lead, and he has to be anticipating ball and dirt if he's going to have any chance to score on a ball that's not that far away from the catcher.
2-0 pitches. Tapped foul, so a 2-0 changeup, and Coco just got a piece of it.
I've always told young players, you don't have to be the best, or you don't have to be the fastest runner on the team to be the best base runner. Situations like this, you have to maximize your opportunities. You have to be fundamentally sound. You have a pitcher on the mound as tough as Max Scherzer is, that's very stingy and giving up runs. You've got to execute in situations like this.
Pitches, slice foul. So now it's a 2-2 count, and you know what Scherzer's pitching for. And Coco, tough guy to strike out. And Coco's only struck out 24 times in 131 at-bats. In the dirt, good take by Coco Chris, but he took that shooting like he knew it was going to be off speed.
Very well said, Glenn. I mean, those A's hitters have been paying attention over there. They've watched some of their teammates go up there and offer at some of these great changeups that Scherzer have been delivering up there. But Coco Chris, being the true professional that he is, he had a plan going up to the plate, and right now it's paying off for him. Big time pitch right here from Max Scherzer.
Here it is, and it's a swing and a miss. He struck him out
with the changeup.
Changeup, and that one, Shooty, 86 miles an hour. So the harder you throw it, you get a better chance to get a strikeout.
Well, especially Glenn, an average fastball in the major leagues is considered at 90 miles per hour. So at 86, that's just a below average fastball with tremendous sink.
So 2 outs, and here's Jaso, and obviously the infielders can go back to their normal spot. Jaso walked, and then he was hit by a pitch. That's why his left arm is all wrapped up. He was hit on the left forearm, and you can see the lump. And that's the real deal, folks.
Those guys that wear those tools of, you know what they call them, some tough cats back there.
Got it all wrapped up with a sleeve on. Drill to right, down the line, and that baby's gone. And this game is now in the hands of the Oakland A's by a 5-4 score.
I guess you can say an eye for an eye. You hit me and I'm going to hit you. John Jaso, my new hero, to get hit in the way that he did, drilled in the arm all swole up, took him 10 minutes to get out there. He basically shot him out of here with one strong right hand followed up by some top hand Johnson right here. John Jaso is a man. All night long, Max Scherzer's been trying to jam Jaso. He bounced one and hit him in the leg almost. He hit him in the arm, couldn't get one in far enough there, and he paid the price.
That was a major pitch location mistake by Scherzer. Jaso homers for the 5th time, and it gives the A's the lead. So 5-4 in the 4th inning. So much for our pitchers duel, Shooty.
Look at Jaso, how he sits down on this fastball. Once again, I talk about those legs, having a strong base because you can build on something. That was monumental there.
1-1 pitch to Donaldson. He shoots from the right field. Torrey Hunter comes in. He's got it. Side retired. So the A's score 3 times. 1 on a balk, 2 on a home run by Jaso. So we are through 4, and the A's now lead at 5-4. Comcast Sportsnet California is brought to you by Kelly Moore, proud sponsor of the Oakland A's. KellyMoore.com. Bring inspiration home. A's 5, Tigers 4, top of the 5th inning. So much for a pitcher's duel.
You said that, Glenn, but this kind of reminds me of a prize fight of some heavyweighters throwing big-time punches. I think all you can do now is try not to get hit by a bolo here.
First pitch to Torrey Hunter is a bit outside. So Hunter, Cabrera, and Martinez here in the 5th inning. Hunter swinging a ball, 1-1 count. So 68 pitches for Sonny Gray. His only 1-2-3 inning was in the 2nd inning. Torrey Hunter tonight a double and a run scored in the 1st, a ground out in the 3rd. Right field, Reddick back. Near the wall, he leaps and he caught it. Nice play by Reddick, but you also had the feeling that he had it the whole way. He leaped up, but he was a controlled leap, and he made the catch.
What appears to be highlight plays every night that Reddick makes have become just routine here for the Oakland A's fan. He feels his way around that warning track in the wall as well as anyone in baseball. And I think Josh Reddick is probably the only one that's surprised when he doesn't make a play like that.
So here's Cabrera. Big night for Cabrera, an RBI single and a run scored in the 1st, a solo home run in the 3rd. Average now at 328. Cabrera signed the big contract, and when you get a contract like he got, well, getting paid to do this.
And that's what he does. And you look at Sonny Gray right away, 1-0 count. is the makeup of Sonny Gray. He's not going to back down. He's going to come at you with his best every single time. I don't know if that's real smart at times, but I think as he gets older and a little longer in the tooth, he'll understand there are times when he's just going to have to back off a little bit and try to get the next guy. Unfortunately for him, in this Tiger lineup, there's a couple of guys behind Miguel Cabrera that can do a lot of damage as well.
1-2 pitch. He lines it foul. Oh, what a play. Big time play by the left-handed ball boy down the right field line. Hot cold zone. Well, you figure it out. Stay away from the red parts.
Cold is 250 and 281. There are guys that are getting paid in arbitration for putting up those type of numbers in those zones.
It's a shot foul. Well, he's getting paid all right. His extension was 8 years, $248 million. And that went on top of the 2 years, $44 million that he still had left on his first contract. So you add it all up, it's 10 years, $292 million. He signed through 2023. Breaking ball, and it's 2-2.
Well, that's not on the premise of what he might be. This guy has been one of the baddest dudes on the planet for a lot of years. It's just a joy to watch him play. Unfortunately, you don't like to see him doing this thing when he's playing against your team.
The 2-2 pitch. And did he go? Yes, he did. Tried to hold up, couldn't do it. And that's strikeout number 3 for Sonny Gray. And that was a sharp breaking ball. And Cabrera just could not hold up.
Well, Miguel Cabrera understands also that Sonny Gray is in a challenging move. But to Sonny Gray's credit, he understood that if he delivered a pretty good breaking ball right here, as hot as Miguel Cabrera and the great plate coverage that he has, who feels that he can get to anything, he may chase one out of the zone. And Cabrera, like you said, Glenn, he just could not hold up.
So 2 outs. Here's Victor Martinez. Pitch drops in for a strike to Martinez, who has walked and grounded to short. Curveball lofted down the left field line, just over top of the A's bullpen. So it's 0-2.
Amazing looking out there at that shift. They're just daring Victor Martinez to take the single on that left side there. And some hitters are just too stubborn to go the other way and take that base hit.
Pitch. Running in on Martinez and fouls it back. That is quite a shift. That's as far over as we've seen a defensive player playing that shortstop spot. In this case, it's Donaldson. 0-2 pitch, line foul.
As well as Martinez handles the bat, and I understand where he hits in the lineup and how important it is for him to swing the bat. You would think that he'd say, okay, you're going to give me this. I'm just going to go ahead on and serve you right down in that area, because anywhere over there, it's an automatic base hit.
Another 0-2 coming up. Breaking ball, and he holds up. But you see good hitters checking their swing on that curveball, and that tells you really how good curveball is from Sonny Gray.
You talk about the plane of a breaking ball. I mean, curveballs have been given nicknames: old school drop, Uncle Charlie. Sonny Gray can give you one or the other. He can start it at the 12 o'clock position on the clock and drop it down to the 6 o'clock hour.
Slice foul again. So Martinez making Sonny Gray work, trying to get that 3 up, 3 down inning. Gray kicks, and the 1-2 pitch is low, 2-2. So now Sonny Gray is sitting at 84 pitches.
Glenn, what's so hard to teach is that great knack of a 2-strike hitter who can sit up there and extend at bat, foul pitches off until he gets something that he's able to handle, but knowing that he can't take anything that's too close to take.
Shallow left field. Cespedes goes into a slide. He cannot quite come up with it, and Victor Martinez is going to be aboard. So Martinez will have his first hit tonight, and that's hit number 7 for the Tigers.
Ball's in on the thin part of the bat here. Kind of jams Victor a little. What's impressive, though, is to watch Yoenis Cespedes move in the way that he is in outfield on the bases here. This is a guy who's experienced a lot of discomfort in his hamstring. And we know how those things can linger for even a whole season at times. But to watch him go about his business the way that he is out there has to be very encouraging for the A's.
So J.D. Martinez steps up. And that one bounces away from Jason, but he picks it up to throw to second base. Got it! So Martinez tried to advance to second base on the ball in the dirt, and Jason said, I don't think so. So Jason hustled after it, threw him out, and that's a big play.
Hey fans, it's time for the sports day. Start the game. Time to look for the song that you want to hear. Look to the scoreboard.
End of June. So you got the Tigers this series, and then you're going to go to Detroit soon. Same thing with the Angels. Same thing with the Yankees. You're going to play the Rangers at home, the Red Sox at home. You got to go to the Mets and the Marlins in interleague play. So that is through the end of June. The next road trip for the A's, which will begin Tuesday, 3 at New York, 3 at Baltimore, and 3 at Anaheim. So that's not an easy trip. The A's have played well on the road this year with an 18-10 road record. Scherzer back to work as he faces Moss, Cespedes, and Lowry here in the bottom of the 5th inning. His 2 starts, 12 runs allowed, 7 in his last start, and tonight 5. struggles for the Tigers pitching staff continues. And Moss strikes out, so that's strikeout number 4. This is how the top of the inning ended.
Two things that made this play. Jaso moving his feet so quickly and being able to pick that ball up off of one hop. But you watch Victor Martinez over there, a guy that's not known for being very slow on his feet. Not a very good secondary lead, trying to make something out of nothing when he probably shouldn't have been going. And he ended up being the victim on that play.
So 1 out for Cespedes. High fastball swing and miss. Another fastball, foul tip. 92 miles an hour, but there's a little late life to that 92 miles per hour. About that. The Tigers starting pitchers. ERA over 9 in their last 9 games. In the air to left field, J.D. Martinez trots in a couple steps. He's got it. So that's out number 2. Earlier today, Ryan Cook threw a bullpen session. 22 pitches for Cook, and we have been told, including the manager saying this, that everything went very well. And Ryan Cook, they think maybe one more bullpen session, maybe Thursday, and then he's going to have to face some hitters in a short rehab assignment, but he's very close. So that's good news. Important part of that bullpen. Wow. Should be back soon. What a play down to our left. That young man right there stood up. He leaned a long ways over that railing, which is a little bit scary. He made the catch. Yes, he was hanging way out over that railing.
He had something else in his own.
Torrey Hunter's under it. He's got it, and Scherzer has a 3-up, 3-down inning. So the 6th inning is coming up from the Coliseum. It's the A's 5 and the Tigers 4.
Friday, May 30th, 5,000 fans will receive a vote. Josh Donaldson Head on a Stick, presented by Kelly Moore Paints. All-Star voting is underway, so come out to the game on Friday night. And remember to vote for Josh Donaldson, Brandon Moss, Yoenis Cespedes, and the rest of your favorite A's stars.
Top of the 6th inning, and it's a 5-4 A's lead over the Tigers. Sonny Gray back out there, and he's going to face Martinez, Kelly, Jackson. Martinez was in the batter's box when Victor Martinez was thrown out trying to advance. Curveball stays high. J.D. Martinez with the RBI double in the first, and then he struck out in the third. Angels still leading the Mariners. It's now 4-3 in the 7th inning in Seattle. Swing and a miss. Good fastball there from Gray. Sonny Gray with 3 strikeouts. He has walked 1 so far.
Chase fastball. Sonny Gray with that extra life in his zone. Talked about how he's able to move the ball from left to right and right to left. He's also capable of elevating the fastball up in the zone to create some zip through the zone.
Gray goes with a fastball to the inside part of the plate. Check swing by J.D. Martinez.
Watching Sonny Gray early on, you can tell he was kind of taking his time a little bit, pacing himself, saving a little bit for later.
And that curveball hung just enough for J.D. Martinez to hit it up the middle for a base hit. Well, first week of the All-Star balloting, and these are the results. And the good news is right at the top, Josh Donaldson leads all third basemen in the American League in voting, just ahead of Evan Longoria. So good news early on for Josh Donaldson, as again, that's the first week of voting for the American League All-Star team. And we would say that, well, whether Donaldson gets voted in or not, he's going to make it because he's having a great year. But you know what? After last year, we don't know that for sure. Because when the season ended, he finished 4th in the American League in MVP voting, but did not get elected to the All-Star game, which I think was a huge mistake. But that's over and done with. And the good news is he's leading in the voting right now. And you know what helped him? Not to state the obvious, but getting Miguel Cabrera off third base and moving him to first base is going to help Donaldson, right? I mean, the All-Star thing, that's a big deal.
Well, Glenn, when you don't get voted in by the fans, now you're at the mercy of the manager of the All-Star team as well. And that plays a big time part.
0-1 to Kelly. Kelly fouls it right at the plate, and now it's 0-2. So we certainly wish Donaldson good luck. Moss having a terrific first half. Sonny Gray having a terrific first half. Those are the kind of the A's names that at least pop into your head initially.
Well, what tells you what grade of the year they're having, just looking at all the names that are on the ballot.
Let's not forget about Derek Norris either. Strike 3 called, and Kelly knew it. Strikeout number 4 for Sonny Gray.
Talked about Sonny's ability to throw the ball from top to bottom. That backdoor breaking ball is one of the best pitches in baseball, especially when you can deliver that pitch to the back foot. Even though that was to the back door, it was equally as effective as that backdoor slider.
Abad starts to throw for the Athletics as Sonny Gray sitting at 93 pitches. Single and a run scored for Austin Jackson. Hitting in the 7th spot tonight. Curve, and it's in for a strike. Jackson in yesterday's game batted 2nd. That was also a little bit to do with Kinsler being out of the lineup. Do you think, Shooty, that the Tigers, maybe a smaller reason, but another reason nonetheless, that they made the trade for Kinsler, because it felt like Kinsler, pretty good leadoff hitter, a leadoff hitter with some pop, and Austin Jackson the last couple of years has batted leadoff for the Tigers, but he's really not a leadoff hitter. And maybe hitting him 6th or 7th down in the lineup would help Austin Jackson. In the dirt, blocked nicely by Jaso.
Well, Glenn, from what is being said from the Tiger people, because of how good the Tigers were last year, one of the best starting staffs in all of baseball, and an offense to match it, they still came up short on a bunch of different times, and they lost by 1-run games. When they weren't able to provide the big blow by hitting a home run, they had a very difficult time of manufacturing runs. So when you bring in a Rajay Davis and an Ian Kinsler, guys who are capable of stealing 30 bases, each one of them, you add a big-time component to your offense.
Curveball rolled to short. Lowry charges, flips to second for one, on to first, not quite in time. So Jackson reaches on a fielder's choice.
And you know, some guys are just more comfortable in certain positions. Sonny Gray minimizing damage here, making a quality pitch in a situation where you know you need a ground ball. You've got to keep that ball down in the zone, because the one thing you don't want to do is get shot in the gap in a situation like that. And that's execution right on time. But when you look at Austin Jackson, Glenn, he's one of those guys that probably produce a little better down in the order opposed to up at the top, because just like yesterday when Kinsler was out of the game, Brad Ausmus tried to insert him in the top of the lineup, and you saw he was 0 for 4 and unaffected at all.
But Bob Melvin comes out to check on his ace Sonny Gray, who says I'm okay at 97 pitches, and he's going to face Alex Avila.
What do you think Bob Melvin asked Sonny Gray there, Glenn?
I think he said, do you have enough to get Alex Avila? Because I got a lefty ready in the bullpen. Sonny Gray said, you bet. Pure speculation on my part, Shooty.
Oh, no. That's wisdom there, Glenn.
Curveball. Take by Avila. Avila with a double in the 4th inning. Bit of controversy. The ball bounced off the top of the wall. There was some question whether it actually went over the wall and then came back. Did it hit something on the other side of the wall? Umpire said no. It did knock in a run. But it turns out now it's a 1-run game. If that ball's ruled a home run, it's a tie game. So keep an eye on that play as this game goes on.
Be real interesting to see how Sonny Gray pitches Avila here, especially with Romine on deck, who probably won't hit if he comes to the plate this inning.
So 1-0 the count to Avila. Jackson is a threat. Not running. And the ball is ripped foul. Omar Vizquel. Omar Vizquel is the first base coach wearing number 31. How about that?
Probably could still pick it up.
Oh, no question.
One of the best to ever have leather on his hands.
Big shift on for Avila. Now it's 2-1. Jackson has a good lead at first, not running. There's a strike, and now it's 2-2.
When everything else is not working, go to your best stuff. Sonny Gray with a great curveball, able to command it at any time in the count. Big pitch right now.
2-2, swing and a miss. He stayed right with it, and why not? It's working. Strikeout number 5 for Sonny Gray. And we are headed to the bottom of the 6th inning. The A's hanging on to a 5-4 lead.
When I was a little boy, my mama used to tell me, Shooter, you avoid confrontation, but if somebody hits you, you gotta hit them back. Max Scherzer, you hit John Jason's head, you hit me. Now I gotta hit you back. Shot him up in the right field corner, just what the A's needed.
So big hit in this game, and that was it. So 5-4, the A's lead. It's the bottom of the 6th inning. And Max Scherzer, who had a very quick 5th inning, and that helped him. It allowed him to head back out there in the 6th. So that's a breakdown for Sonny Gray so far. We'll see whether he heads back out there or not. But 6 innings in the books, 4 runs allowed. First pitch to Reddick is low. Reddick with a pop out and a single. He singled and scored in the 4th inning. He scored on a balk. That was a big play. Who knows? Changed the dynamic of the inning a little bit. But it was part of a 3-run 4th inning. Now 1-2 the count.
Glenn, when you have 2 big-time premier starting pitchers going up against each other and 2 big-time offenses who are able to counteract each other, it's all about taking advantage of your opportunities and trying to minimize the mistakes that you make of your own.
Reddick again fouls it. Reach for it a little bit. Angels have added a run. They lead 5-3 in the 7th inning. In the air, right center. Torrey Hunter hustling over, and he's got it. Reddick is retired, 1 out. Authentic fans know where to find the best deal in Bay Area baseball. Comcast Sportsnet California's Authentic Fan Fridays right here at the Coliseum. Friday, get a ticket and our value deck behind home plate, an authentic A's fan grab bag, a cheer card, and a $6 food and drink voucher. You're going to get that all for one great price. The best deal in Bay Area baseball is Comcast Sportsnet's Authentic Fan Friday. Log on to csncalifornia.com for details. And this Friday it will be the A's and the Angels in the first of a 3-game series.
I'm looking forward to that series, Glenn.
Yeah, going to be a good series. It's always fun to take on the Angels. That would be here on the heels of the Athletics. Next 2 homestands. Well, I should say this homestand and the next one are pretty darn good. This one, of course, you got the Tigers for 4, the Angels for 3, and then The next homestand, which would be in the middle of June, will be the Yankees for 3, the Rangers for 3, the Red Sox for 4. Well, at that point, you're middle to back end of June, and now you got a pennant race. Montero starting to throw for the A's.
And that's why I feel that our game is the greatest game in the world. 162 of them. And just trying to get to the finish line is so difficult. A lot of obstacles to overcome.
Two pitch. Caspo lights it. Torrey Hunter on the move. So Torrey Hunter getting a workout. Still looks good out there in the outfield now. Turned himself into a pretty darn good right fielder after all those Gold Glove seasons as a center fielder.
11 Gold Gloves,
You watch him play, and it looks like he could play for a while yet, and he's 37 years old.
Think back to those days in Minnesota. I mean, highlight play after highlight play. And that's after following one of the greatest ever play out there in Kirby Puckett.
Sogard bounces one up the middle, backhanded by Kinsler. Throw to first, he throws high. It tips off the glove of Cabrera. So Sogard will be aboard. So he will get credit for a single.
One advantage that a left-handed hitter has on a ball hit like this, he's already kind of leaking out of the batter's box a little bit. That allows his momentum to carry him toward first base. Kinsler does everything that he possibly can with a strong throw to first base. Pulling Cabrera off the bag there allows Sogard to slide underneath their head first. So much has been talked about sliding head first, not sliding into first base head first. This is one of those rare times where the play calls for you to slide away from the play and slide in there head first. Robbie Alomar Jr. was one of the best in the game in doing that.
And you saw Sogard just take a glance, see what Kinsler was doing. So here's Coco. Double, pop out, and a strikeout for Coco Crisp so far. Sogard runs, and now he's going to hustle back, and he gets back. Vila came out throwing. Sogard was able to just get back ahead of Cabrera's tag.
One unique trait of a base stealer is to be able to peek in while you're trying to accelerate to full speed. Eric Sogard chopped his steps there, knew that he didn't have a great jump, knowing that Avila throws pretty good down to second base, was able to get back in there. That's pretty good instinctual base running there, because you don't see a lot of base runners who are capable of doing that.
So the count 1-0 to Crisp. Popped up. Kinsler out. Hunter in. Kinsler says, I got it. And he does. So a 2-out hit for Sogard. He is stranded. And we are through 6. A's 5. Tigers 4. Of last year, Josh Donaldson, a walk-off the other way down the right field line. It was in the 12th inning. It was Donaldson's first ever walk-off hit, and he did it in style with a home run. So the A's won that game 4-3. So a big moment for Donaldson last year, and he's had a lot of moments since then. Tonight he and the Athletics with a 5-4 lead, 7th inning, and now it becomes a bullpen game when it's time for change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change, tune-up, and repair expert. So it starts with Dan Otero here in the top of the 7th inning. So 23rd appearance for Otero. He's 4-1 with a good 2.32 ERA. First pitch to Romine is right at the knees for a strike. Romine a strikeout and a ground out. Shoots that one foul, and now it's 0-2.
Talking about unsung heroes, Glenn. I'm sure it's not the case on that Oakland A's staff or that bullpen down there. They know how valuable Otero is, but his name is not very sexy about what he does, but he is just as important as anybody else down in that bullpen.
Well, let's not forget that Otero pitched yesterday. He threw an inning and a third yesterday. Scherzer at 107 pitches, and Ian Kroll is warming up in their bullpen. So we'll see if Scherzer is done for the night. Well, Otero, an inning and a third yesterday, but only 10 pitches. So Romine will be followed by Kinsler and then Hunter here in the 7th inning. That lefty in the bullpen, Darren Norris starts to think about getting ready. Lowry throws on Romine on a slow roller.
74 reunion. The 1974 A's team that won 3 straight World Series championships will be celebrated Friday, May 30th and Saturday, May 31st. Raleigh Fingers, Reggie Jackson, Sal Bando, Vida Blue, Gene Tennis, and our own Ray Fosse will be honored. There will be autograph sessions on Friday. There will be a meet and greet on Saturday with proceeds benefiting the Jim Catfish Hunter ALS Foundation. For more information and tickets, visit athletics.com/1974.
So a big celebration and a great series coming up against the Angels. Want to know to Kinsler, who is 0 for 3. Kinsler did not play yesterday. Donaldson, nice pick on a backhand, froze in time. Sweet play by Donaldson.
Reminiscent of the ball that was hit in the first inning that Josh Donaldson wasn't able to come up with. Preparation is always the key to success. Josh Donaldson exhibiting that great strong throwing arm that he had as a catcher, and it's proved vital for him down here at the hot corner here at O.K. Tremendous feet work right there, getting on top, creating some nice carry on the ball over first base.
So 2 outs, a couple of ground ball outs, and here's Torrey Hunter. Evan Reed on the left, Kroll on the right. Drive to center. Coco going back. He's at the wall, and it's gone. And Coco is hurt. Torrey Hunter ties it with a solo home run to center field, and the good news is that Coco pops up and he seems to be okay, but the scoreboard is not, as the Tigers have tied it. So Torrey Hunter, 7th home run of the year.
Well, you got a middle fastball running right back over the middle of the plate. Torrey Hunter pulls his hands in, jumps all on top of the fastball, straightaway center field. That's one thing about this Tiger offense from 1 to 9. They have guys that are capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark. Once again, Torrey Hunter delivers another big-time blast. Straightaway center field.
So here's Cabrera. Second home run of the night for the Tigers. First pitch to Cabrera is a strike. The second home run allowed this year by Dan Otero. Good off-speed pitch, and Cabrera swings over top. So a back-and-forth game tonight.
If you're going to have any chance of this Miguel Cabrera, you're going to have to keep him off balance.
Right field, Reddick comes in, and he makes a nice catch. What a play by Reddick. But the Torrey Hunter home run has tied it as we have reached the 7th inning stretch. Torrey Hunter's home run has tied it. When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts to the bullpen, and it's Ian Kroll, a left-hander. No record, ERA of 2.50. Kroll just turned 24 years old. Maybe a familiar name to A's fans, as he was originally an A's draft pick in 2009. Went to the Nationals in a trade, and then from the Nationals to the Tigers in the Doug Fister trade this past offseason. So, Ian Kroll, our first look at him. Norris pinch hitting for Jaso. Saw Norris getting himself ready in the dugout in case a lefty did come in.
Ian Kroll's always been a left-hander with a pretty good arm. He's always struggled with his secondary stuff, not able to put hitters away with his breaking ball. The A's will remain patient, I'm sure, as they always do. Try to get this guy to make a mistake. I don't know how long Kroll will be in this game because of the matchup situations down there, but one thing that he doesn't want to do is start throwing balls up in the zone, because the A's have shown that they do the fastball up and down the play.
So 2-0 to Norris. 3-0 to Norris. The Tigers bullpen this year has a group ERA of 4.43. That's 13th out of 15 teams in the American League. So it's been a little bit of an issue. And that one is inside, a 4-pitch walk to the leadoff hitter after your team has just tied it up.
Glenn, there's nothing more that stirs up the dandruff and your managers do than you coming in and throwing ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, ball 4.
Well, it stirred him up enough for him to say, you know what? You're out. You're out. So our old friend Al Albuquerque's coming in.
Chip and Chili on Sunday, June 1st, as the A's give away the first ever Chip and Chili pallet. Presented by Ross Dress for Less. This one-of-a-kind item recognizes A's bench coach Chip Hale and hitting coach Chili Davis. The Chip and Chili platter will be a great addition to the barbecue. For more information and tickets, visit athletics.com/tickets or call 877-493-BALL.
New pitcher is Al Albuquerque. He faces Donaldson, and it's a line drive off the glove of Kelly, but he's going to throw to second to get the out there. He dove for it. He got a lot of glove on it, and it just kind of popped out of his glove. But he was able to get Norris at second base.
What happened there, he's one of those balls that hits so hard, you're not sure if you should dive or try to get behind one of these. You're kind of in no man's land here. There's nothing you can do about a play like this. Good thing that Josh Donaldson continued to hustle down the line and didn't get himself into a double play.
So 1 out, and here's Moss. Moss is 0 for 3, a fly out and a couple of strikeouts.
Well, when you're hot, you're hot. Josh Donaldson is just barreling up everything.
Maybe he got it off the end just a little bit, shoot.
The way that sounded, Glenn, I doubt that very seriously.
Skied down the right field line, foul territory. Kinsler had it. Fires it back in. And that's not Kinsler, that's Kelly, who was shifted all the way over to that side of the diamond. It's a long way to go. But he made the catch. They left Kinsler right near the second base position. And there you see Kelly. He was able to get back there.
You're talking about finding yourself in an unfamiliar zone. Once again, tripping over that mound there. That is not an easy play. You know, looking back at Donaldson, when I look at him grimacing and holding his hand a little bit, he's a guy who does hold his bat down with the knob inside of his hand. And you teach your hitters to try to choke up a little bit. But what happens, a lot of hitters, they have a problem with that hamate bone sometimes when they grip the bat that way. And I don't know if Josh felt a little discomfort down there because I don't know, man. He hit that ball on the button, man. I'd be very surprised if he could get that ball on that part of the bat.
So here's Cespedes, 2 outs. The first pitch is a strike. Saw the numbers for Al Albuquerque. He kind of burst on the scene in 2011, did Albuquerque, as a bod up again. And then 2012, he missed most of the season after having surgery, but he did pitch enough at the end to make the postseason roster. And then last year, fully healthy, pitched in 53 games for the Tigers. So an important arm down in that Tigers bullpen. One and one to Cespedes.
Al Albuquerque is a young man who has a great slider. Part of his problem was that he would go to it basically 4 out of 5 pitches and not allow himself to throw his fastball. But the Tigers got him to believe in his fastball, and now he's having success with his slider.
Nice block by Avila, scrambles after it.
But you know, when you get in trouble, you always go with what works. Right away, we see Al Albuquerque go to that slider.
Albuquerque, a long look in, still looking in. Cespedes 1 for 3 in the game.
As I've watched Cespedes take that last breaking ball, Glenn, I'm sorry. That's one of the more impressive parts of his growing period for me. Just the calmness in the box that he has. Early on, we watched him chase slider after slider in the dirt, especially in hitters' counts. He looks like he has a plan up there, and he's trying to stick with it.
Like he corrected that fairly quickly his first year. Donaldson has a good lead at first. Pitch there. Of course, A's fans not big fans of Al Albuquerque after a couple years ago in the postseason. He got Cespedes on a bouncer back to the mound, an important part of the game late in the postseason. And as he tossed the ball to first right before he did that, he kissed the baseball. These fans have not forgot that. And I think he was probably told about it by his manager at the time, Jim Leland, that that may not be a great idea. My guess is he probably hasn't done it again.
Well, players have shown you, especially here in recent history, of not being afraid to show some emotion out there. But the one thing that you don't do in the visitor's ballpark is show up the other team.
That one is lined to left. J.D. Martinez back. He reaches up right at the last second, and he grabs it side, retired. So the A's do not score, and we're on to the A's, still tied at 5. fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to CSNCA fan photo. Name and hometown down for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast. It's brought to you by AT&T. Tonight's fan photos from Brandon Ashby from San Jose. Watching the game. Just put your hat down and just take a picture of it.
Hey, Glenn, that was a pretty nice giveaway yesterday.
Yeah.
It's a good-looking hat.
I went home and wore mine around that.
And you look good in it.
Flat bill. Fernando Abad comes in. It's the 8th inning, and we're tied. So, see how this game wraps up. And two good teams battling into the late innings. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. Abad facing Victor Martinez, J.D. Martinez, and Don Kelly. Norris is your new catcher.
How beautiful is our game? All the hype around those two starting premier pitchers. Neither guy will have a say in the outcome of this game.
And neither was completely sharp. But both good enough to just keep their team in the game. Victor Martinez, among many very fine numbers this year. You see the batting average. How about this one? He is now, let's see, he's got 182 at-bats, 13 strikeouts, and 19 walks.
Well,
that's amazing.
That's not surprising to me. If you look at his 2013 numbers, Victor Martinez was the toughest guy to strike out in the league. This year, I think it's like 3rd, and they've got Kinsler, who's 4th. So you've got two guys that strike out once every 10 times at bat. More than likely, they're going to put it in play and do some damage.
That's mark in the majors there. One strikeout every 15.3 at bats. Abad's going to get him here on a high fly ball to left center. And that's out number 1.
How good is this guy, Glenn?
Yep. So, you know,
Number 28.
you're worried about
you
lose Jerry Blevins, who pitched a lot of innings and quality innings, but you really didn't lose anything because you got Fernando Abad.
Great trademark of this club. Constantly making improvements in the bullpen. We talked about Cook rehabbing, getting ready. This is a guy that's been a vital part of the bullpen. The A's can take their time getting him back to his form because they have so much depth down here.
Strike to J.D. Martinez, who is 2 for 3. Now Gregerson starts to loosen himself up. That one skips off the ground, and then Scott Martinez. How about Chamberlain in a Tigers uniform? So 1-1 to Martinez. Angels now lead the Mariners 6-3. C.J. Cron with a home run. Talked a little bit about C.J. Cron. Hitting prospect for the Angels and getting a chance to play quite a bit now in the big leagues and doing a nice job. A 3-run homer for him. So the Angels have the lead.
Yeah, it's going to be a dogfight in the American League West. You have to tip your hat to what Ron Washington and the Texas Rangers are able to do with the tremendous amount of injuries that they have been sustaining down there and to still be playing 500 baseball. But that Anaheim Angel team in Seattle, they're not going anywhere. I mean, these are 4 good teams that are going to have a lot to say about what happens in this division.
Abad misses badly, and J.D. Martinez is on for the 3rd time. He's got a single, a double, and now a walk. Rajay Davis is going to pinch run, so nice weapon to have coming off the bench. One of the best base stealers in the game. So now it gets very interesting.
Very interesting, to say the least. The Oakland A's know Rajai Davis as well as anyone. I feel that Rajai Davis probably has some of the better instincts in baseball as far as base running and base stealing. But you have to remember the A's know what his tendencies are. He may be a guy that when he's getting ready to run, he may wiggle his fingers. He may take an extra step. He may take one less than he normally does. So now the chess game begins. Everybody has to pay attention to what's going on because a lot is going to dictate on what a guy has done in the past and your preparation to do what is going to happen tonight.
On top of all that, Nick Castellanos has come out. He's going to pinch hit for Don Kelly. So Brad Ausmus wants a right-handed hitter up there. So Kelly is done for the night.
Interesting matchup here as well, Glenn. Castellanos has a notorious reputation of being a very bad breaking ball pitcher. He's normally a guy that sees a steady diet of breaking balls. By him having a lefty-right matchup here, it'll be interesting the way that Abad goes about attacking Castellanos, because one thing that you don't want to do is throw breaking balls when you have a base-stealing threat at first base.
So Davis quickly grabs his lead. He is 15 for 18 this year in steals. Not running, and the first pitch is off of Norris, and Davis is not going to have to steal. He's just going to trot to second base.
I don't know if there's a little cross-up situation here or there's a little more movement on Abad's fastball than Derek Norris was anticipating here. But this is a point in the game where you have to be on point with your pitcher out there. You've got to know what he's going to be throwing, because the worst thing you want to do is get crossed up again and have Rajai Davis at third base with less than 2 outs.
It's going to go as a pass ball on Norris. Austin Jackson is the on-deck hitter. Swing and a miss. Castellanos swung at a ball. 1-1 the count.
Once again, you see the life on the Bob's fastball. Down in the zone here. A little extra giddy up here. You see Castellanos trying to lift and separate here. Going to be tough for him with Abad throwing as hard as he is.
Sogard trying to keep Rajai Davis somewhat close. Abad spins around. You got to do just about everything you can to keep him close. He will take off and steal third. One and one the count to Castellanos, which is outside 2-1.
Very accustomed to watching Abad attack the strike zone. But when you have a runner on base, the magnitude, the skill set that Rajai Davis does, it becomes a very uncomfortable feeling for the pitcher. And now there's a lot of apprehension in some of the pitches that he's throwing.
Quick look, 2-1 pitch. Inside corner, 2-2. And Davis takes off, and Abad never knew it. So Rajai Davis, he had his eyes open, and as soon as they flipped the ball back to Abad, he took off, and Abad never knew it.
That's something that happens in the front yard of your house when you see the kids out there playing. They learn those type of tendencies out there. I've watched Rajai Davis do this on several occasions. There was a time where a ball was thrown to the backstop as the pitcher retrieved the ball, walking back to the mound. He dropped his head. Rajai Davis did the same thing. Incredible talent right there.
Infield comes in. 2-2 pitch, and Castellanos just, and I mean just, got a piece of it.
You just can't take your eyes off of Rajai Davis. I mean, he lured him into thinking that he was going back to the base. But with his incredible speed, you look up, he's down at third base and doesn't even draw a throw.
Two and two. And a fastball. Looks like it cut in, and now a full count. tense moments here at the Coliseum. Another emergency swing, and that one flipped just over the protective wall.
Wow. You said it, man. Emergency. Basically took that ball out of Derek Norris's glove.
He started swinging and then stopped and then started again, and it worked. Davis inching off third. Donaldson actually kind of playing like a first baseman. 3-2 pitch is tapped foul. 95 miles an hour.
You're in a game situation right now, even though the infield was playing in. Rajai Davis is the type of player that more than likely he will be going on contact. So if the ball is not hit right at one of the Oakland A's defenders on the infield, it's going to be pretty difficult for them to throw him out at home plate.
And a breaking ball on 3-2, not close. Castellanos hung in there, fouled off some tough pitches, and he ends up getting the walk, and that'll bring up Austin Jackson. And Bob Melvin up out of the dugout. He has not made the call. Now he has, as he points to Gregerson. So your matchup is going to be Gregerson against Austin Jackson with the go-ahead run at third and one out. We'll be back.
Is brought to you by Xfinity, home of the most live sports, and by Toyota, #1 in MPG, durability, and resale value. Toyota, let's go places.
So Abad faces 3 hitters, walks 2, and that's why the Tigers have runners at first and third, 1 out. So the key moment in the game so far is right now as Austin Jackson comes up. No Gregerson. No secret here shooting. He's tough on right-handers, and he's facing the right-handed hitting Austin Jackson. Jackson in his career has always been a guy who strikes out a lot, although this year a little bit better. Tonight he's 1 for 3. Singleton scored in the 4th. First pitch is a slider that stays high. That's the bread and butter pitch for Gregerson. The slider, especially to right-handed hitters.
Well, won't be bread without butter if he doesn't get that slider down, Glenn, because that's the pitch that he needs to produce now to get a ground ball to get the A's out of this inning.
That one hit toward Lowry, who backhands, throws to second for one, on to first. Not in time. Davis scores. The Tigers take the lead. The ball was just a little bit too far in the hole. And Lowry made a nice play, but Jackson just runs too well. So the Tigers take the lead 6-5.
Very hard to double up Austin Jackson anyway. I think the A's did a tremendous job of making this play close here, and Brandon Moss did all he could to sell that here. He even had me fooled that he had him, but Austin Jackson just a little too quick there.
So give Jackson his 17th RBI. And here's Alex Avila. Now you got to watch Jackson, because he's a good base stealer. First pitch strike to Avila, who is 1 for 3. He had an RBI double in the 4th inning. Not a good number for Luke Gregerson. Inherited runners stranded. So he's inherited 12. 8 have scored. And that one hit down the left field line, and maybe Avila was trying to go that way that time.
When I talked about the overall makeup change of this ball club, not being able to provide some type of way of winning ball games late in the game by manufacturing runs, you see why Rajai Davis has been able to pay dividends for this type of ball club just with his legs alone.
So 0-2. Jackson not running, and it's a swing and a miss, picked up by Norris, tags Avila, and Avila is finished quickly, but the Tigers get a run, so they lead 6-5 going to the bottom of the 8th. Here's our game summary brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. 6-9-0 for the Tigers, 5-8-0 for the Athletics. Scoring early in the Scherzer-Sonny Gray pitching matchup. Both guys pitching okay, but certainly not as sharp as we've seen them. So maybe a few more runs scored tonight than we thought, but now the Tigers with a run in the 7th, a run in the 8th, and they have grabbed the lead. So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. Jabba Chamberlain comes in. That's right, Jabba Chamberlain is a Detroit Tiger. He signed a 1-year, $2.5 million contract as a free agent. So did not go back to New York. And now with the Tigers. Rajai Davis stays in the game to play left field. Nick Castellanos stays in the game to play third base. So bottom of the 8th inning, Lowry, Reddick, and Callaspo for the A's. The A's will have to win this one in comeback fashion. Chamberlain's first pitch is a fastball on the outside corner for a strike. Lowry has a double, knocked in a run in the second, also scored in that inning. So shooting his job at Chamberlain back to where he was when he was doing such a great job out of the Yankees bullpen.
Well, he settled in very nicely in the setup role, setting up Joe Nathan down there, and it's allowed him to gain his confidence again.
2012 was the year that Chamberlain missed due to Tommy John surgery. Shouldn't say missed. He did come back and pitch that season, but a couple years removed from the surgery. Pitches a fastball outside. The Tigers, they did not re-sign Joaquin Benoit, who signed with the San Diego Padres, and it seemed like Joaquin Benoit pitched every game, but a very good late inning reliever for the Tigers. He's not with them anymore. Hit to left field, and Rajai Davis grabs it. So Lowry hit it hard, but right at Davis, 1 out.
A lot of people feel that Joaquin Benoit somewhat overachieved last year because the role that he excelled in for the Detroit Tigers, he failed to do so for the Texas Rangers when they definitely needed him to do that. And they even turned in one of their prize closers into a starter in Natali Feliz, trying to give Joaquin Benoit that opportunity, and he did not have success in that role.
Reddick goes after the first pitch. A little pop-up. Castellanos grabs it. So Reddick goes after the first pitch. 2 outs. The Tigers also signed Joe Nathan. So they basically said, all right, Nathan obviously is our closer. And Chamberlain looks like now is your main setup guy. So completely new back into the rotation for the Tigers. And as we said last year, the Tigers bullpen has been a little shaky at times this year. Chamberlain pumps a fastball in for a strike.
It's so amazing watching a guy who can pitch in the 8th with 9th inning stuff, but struggles in the 9th, but is comfortable in the 8th.
I remember in 2009, the Yankees made Joba Chamberlain a starter. He made 31 starts for them. And did okay, but probably better off as a power arm back into your bullpen. 0-2 pitch at 95 miles an hour.
As you watch Chamberlain on the mound, it's quite apparent that he is a thrower. There's a lot of effort in his delivery, a lot of action in his arm, and he's up there to throw the ball by him.
Bounced off the plate foul. Shooting, he got to the big leagues at a very young age. He's only 27 years old. He got to the big leagues in 2007. He was just 22.
I would have to say he's a very mature looking 27-year-old.
Big and burly. Trying to put it all back together with the Tigers. One and 2 to Callaspo. That breaking ball stays high. Callaspo a double, a single, and a flyout. He's knocked in a run. He has scored a run. Hit hard, backhanded by Cabrera, spins around, flips, and Chamberlain's there, side retired. So the A's 3 up, 3 down in the bottom of the 8th, and we're headed to the 9th inning, 6-5 Tigers. vote counts. Winner will be revealed during A's post-game live. Follow the action on the diamond like never before with enhanced Bloomberg stats and much, much more. A's in-game live at csncalifornia.com. Log on now and vote. So 6-5, the Tigers lead the A's, and it's the top of the 9th inning. Final from Seattle, the Angels 6, the Mariners 4. Weaver over Elias. That game just went final, so Weaver gets his 6th win. And the Angels even up that series at a game apiece, and again, that is a 4-game series. So the Angels putting a little heat on the Athletics. 2-0 pitches in first strike. Twins beat the Rangers earlier. A couple of runs in the bottom of the 9th inning at Target Field. There's the closer, Joe Nathan. Swing and a miss, 2-2. How about the Blue Jays, Shooty? They won again. Toronto 9, Tampa Bay 6. Encarnacion with another home run. He's hit 14 home runs in the month of May. 16 for the year.
When you're hot, you're hot.
Slider and Andrew Romine swings and misses. So 1 out here in the top of the 9th inning. He's trying to keep it at a 1-run deficit.
Andrew Romine, a young man who at one time thought about giving up switch hitting because of the struggles that he was having left-handed, but it talked into continue to give it a shot. But he's really having a tough time at the major league level. But he was brought here to catch the baseball, and he's been doing a pretty good job of that.
Top of the order, and Ian Kinsler. Kinsler swings at a slider and misses. In that Blue Jays game, Mark Burley got the win. And Mark Burley is now 9-1. ERA of 2.33. So the Blue Jays have now won 8 games in a row.
Every time you mention Mark Burley's name, all you think about is 2-hour and 3-minute games.
He's doing it this year. Kinsler bounces one foul. Houston shut out Kansas City 3-0. The Astros with a nice little 4-game winning streak going. Colin McHugh got the win, and the young man George Springer's starting to hit a little bit.
He's got some incredible skill.
He did not homer tonight, but he had homered in 4 consecutive games. Kinsler chases that Gregerson slider, and Kinsler saying, I fouled it. I don't think he's going to win that argument with Angel Campos.
Well, Kinsler's offensive night is ending the same way that it started. First pitch of the game, he was complaining. The last swing that he takes, he's complaining.
Tough to tell. It's always tough to tell if a guy fouled it or not. And the problem with those plays is the only guy who really knows whether it was foul or not is probably the hitter, right? I mean, you're going to know even if you just barely tipped it a little bit.
I don't think he's
maybe the catcher.
The catcher knows.
Yeah.
I just don't think that Kinsler was aware that Norris caught the ball as well.
Which, yeah, if he caught it in the air and it was pretty close, then it's foul tip, doesn't matter. Oh, missed that one by a bunch.
Big hitter right now. I don't think you want to see Miguel Cabrera come up again in this game. I mean, you want to keep it at a 1-run deficit, give the offense a chance to get you back in this ball game.
Torrey Hunter rolls that one foul. Big hit for Torrey Hunter was in the 7th inning, and the A's were leading by 1.
Torrey Hunter has always been notorious as being a very good fastball hitter. He's another man that will try to ambush you early on in the count. Unfortunately, the A's there, he guessed right, and boy, he guessed big.
1-2 pitch. Slider is hit to center field where Coco's under it. He's got it side retired. Here we go, folks. Joe Nathan's coming in. He's going to face Sogard, Crisp, and Norris. It's the Tigers 6, the A's 5 as we are headed to the bottom of the ninth.
Well, here tonight's Heisman player of the game, Rajay Davis. Speed, the ability to be able to advance just by your presence alone, and then the ability to create something with your speed. To be able to score a run without the ball ever leaving the infield, speed on full display. Rajay Davis, Honda player of the game.
So how often do you give the player of the game to a guy who pitch ran? But that one play, and that may be the difference in the game. Joe Nathan comes in, the veteran. Been around a long time now. 39 years old in his 14th big league season and still closing games. He's 11 for 14 in that department so far this year. In his career, 352 career saves. So good years with the Twins, a couple years with the Rangers, and now with the Tigers. So big Joe Nathan. First pitch is in for a strike to Sogard. Sogard is 1 for 3. He'll be followed by Crisp and then Norris here in the bottom of the ninth inning. Pitch to Sogard is looped, shallow right center. Kinsler, what a play by the Tigers second baseman. Just a flare off the bat of Sogard, but Kinsler raced back and backhanded it with his back to home plate.
Ball early on hit in the gap where Austin Jackson took a terrible angle, and I spoke about the importance of being able to take a great angle on the ball. Ian Kinsler ran exactly to a spot where he thought the ball would land, because if you try to coast underneath one of those, you have zero chance of getting to this ball. Ian Kinsler with great athletic ability and a great play to reach out and snatch a base hit right out of the jaws of Eric Sogard.
So one out, and here's Coco Crisp. Coco has a hit. He's 1 for 4. He doubled in the first inning. Was thrown out trying to steal third. And there's that Nathan slider, which really kind of a 12-6 slider, which you don't see a lot of, but he throws it right over top. It's not that sweeping slider so much. It's more of a straight down pitch.
When you're describing Joe Nathan's slider, Glenn, it's a pitch that has a tremendous amount of tilt.
Yep.
You talk about the depth, about how far a slider gets there before it starts twisting. Well, the depth of Joe Nathan's is what makes it such a great pitch.
2-1 pitch. Coco hits it hard. Diving play by Cabrera. Underhands to Nathan, and that's out number 2. So Nathan 1 out away from save number 353. Nathan is the only active closer that's in the top 10. Of course, Mariano Rivera at the top, and all those other guys retired, including the Hall of Famer Dennis Eckersley. So Joe Nathan, he's got a 2-year contract. He's still very effective. He will continue to move up that list.
And as far as I'm concerned, it's criminal that that guy at number 3 is not in the Hall of Fame.
I agree. 478 career saves.
And he was good.
He was good. So here's Norris. First pitch, slider in first strike. So a good first pitch strike for Nathan. Good numbers versus the Athletics. Look at the ERA, 1.05. He saved 80 games in 2 years for the Texas Rangers. The Rangers decided not to bring him back. Joaquin Soria is now closing for the Rangers. He blew a save tonight.
Well, the Rangers thought that they had struck gold with Metalli Feliz after they converted him into a closer. He came up with an arm injury as they shifted it around again and tried to make him into a starter. He's never been the same since.
1-1 pitch, high fastball, swing and a miss. Well, the closer's position is it's a high-paying position. So you're going to have to pay a guy if he's in that spot in his career where he may be a free agent or arbitration or whatever.
Very volatile situation, man, from year to year with closers. You just don't know.
One-two pitch. Fastball is hot. Marks lays on.
Joe Nathan is a tall guy that has very nice plane and pretty good angle out there. You throw high 3/4 up in the mid-90s. Boy, that fastball gets on you in a hurry.
I get the feeling he's going to go to the slider at some point. Setting up outside. There it was, and this is badly. So Norris has got it to 3-2 with Donaldson dying to hit, and he's in the on-deck circle, and he's ready.
You say he's on the on-deck circle. Back in the day, if you'd have stood right there, you would have got drilled by the pitchers. He's almost up there hitting right now.
Nathan, deep breath, he's ready. 3-2 pitch, here it is. Slider got it. So Norris chases, and Joe Nathan comes in. A 3-up, 3-down ninth inning, and the Tigers bullpen, a big story tonight. They were able to shut down the A's late, and a couple of late runs for the Tigers. So the series is tied at a game apiece as the Tigers win it tonight 6-5. So the A's record drops to 31-21, and they lose a game in the standings. They are now just a game and a half ahead of the Angels in the AL West. 6-5 your final, Tigers over the A's. You've been watching A's baseball on Comcast Sportsnet California. Don't go away. A's postgame live with Brody Brazil and Vic Roberts starts right now.